Hi Anjali.
Hi.
So first up, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so I turned an entrepreneur about 10 years ago, and I have four verticals that we do. So, obviously, hiring, which is our People Connect brand, hiring is our oldest vertical. We started and we do hiring across various verticals, so banking, financial services, telecom, retail, across verticals, mostly middle and senior level hiring. From that, about 4 years ago, we started four other verticals. There is Extra Mile, which is our internal communication, employee engagement, training, L&D, leadership development, that vertical. That's called Extra Mile. Also, because a lot of our clients, when we were in the hiring space, came back to us and said, give us diversity. There was an increasing pressure on send us more women for the CVs that you're sending. We want to hire women at middle and senior level. So that's how we looked at doing back to the front, because we said that there are only so many women in the workforce. How do we look at increasing the number? So the obvious question was then, how do you get them to return to the workforce? Because a lot of them drop out during various stages, life stages really. Some get married, some have children, some have to look after older parents who are ailing, etc., etc. So how do you get them back into the workforce once they're mentally, emotionally ready to do that? That's how Back to the Front started. Over a period of time, we've now increased our reach into corporates, where we started working with them to drive inclusion, to work with leaders to say, how do you make the workspace more inclusive, and also look at some bit of the generational piece of diversity now coming in, because we all know that millennials are in the workplace, and it is a little different, to kind of get the whole workplace as more inclusive. From that, last year we started Cart by Moms, which is our vertical where we have all mompreneurs, empaneled with us. So if any corporate has any requirement, be it in gifting or be it for your R&R programs, or be it for your new joining kits, all of that, we have several mompreneurs empaneled with us, and we tell corporates, please go, instead of going to your regular vendor, give our mompreneurs a platform to kind of service your requirement. So basically it's about, at some point I think giving back to that whole cycle of, because I strongly believe in financial independence and self-worth for women. So, everything kind of integrates and goes back to that thought.
Very, very interesting. So basically you've become like the one-stop shop for an organization as far as, people
Yes,
are concerned.
that's the plan. Yeah.
Very interesting. So, when I speak to a lot of women entrepreneurs, one of the biggest challenges that comes across in their entrepreneurial journey is scaling up. But you have four verticals now. So, what have been your learnings? How do you scale up? Is there like a path, or does it happen?
So it has to be, I think it's a natural progression really. So it has to be somewhere integrated with your core, if you have a core. And then you kind of say, okay, how do you supplement that? And then keep adding stuff, which is like, for example, engagement and talent management and L&D, etc. came in because we were talking to the HR people, we were hiring people. So the logical extension was then to look at the next level with them. Back to the Front is also similar because it came to us as a requirement from our clients. Right. So it is in some way, it has to be connected to each other, I think. Also, I think the team has to be, that you kind of build up for these verticals is one of the critical pieces really. And I was talking to somebody yesterday, so the thing that he told me was that you have to get more rights than wrongs. You can get a lot of wrongs, but your rights have to be a little more than the wrongs. So that's kind of helped.
That's another challenge that a lot of people face. But in your journey, in 10 years, what has been your biggest challenge? Was it people, or was it the operations, or was it the BD, reaching out, for your business? What has been your biggest challenge?
I think it's a tightrope that you walk almost every day. You're like, when you wake up in the morning, you're like, today I don't know what's going to hit me from where. But I think that's what we've signed up for the minute we said that, okay, I'm starting out on my own. But I think one is that if your ops and if your support and delivery is extremely, extremely strong, the others kind of fall in place. Because if you don't have a strong back end or a core really, the others, people, it is just a matter of time when people say, they just give too much commitments and they never deliver. So it's better to kind of undercommit and over deliver rather than do the opposite.
Well said.
The others kind of start falling into place, because a lot of times we've got a lot of referrals from clients. Somebody we worked with, they said no, kind of referred us to their friends, colleagues, etc. So BD really has kind of
happened
on its own because of because your core is strong and people come back to you for that. The marketing side, yes, of course, you kind of need to be out there. But that also, I think, it's very important not to only focus on that. That is going to be always additional to what you do. It's never really the main thing that you're doing. And that's where I think a lot of, it's easy to lose focus.
Yes.
Because you say, yeah, let me concentrate on the brand, let me build the brand. And then at the same time, this starts slipping.
Exactly.
So holding everything together is like
and ultimately that is your base. Your work is your base. Everything else will flow from that. Well said. You have 2 children.
Yes, I have. Yes.
What is Anjali's tip for work-life balance? Is there a work-life balance?
There is no balance.
No work-life balance. Can women have it all? There's so much debate over this. What is your tip?
So there is no balance. It's about integration, really, I think. Because, it just flows into each other. And the idea is really to think that I'm not a superwoman and I can't be. I've had my moments, personal moments also, when you've almost reached the time when you're like, I can't deal with so much and I'm just going mad and how do I manage but high and the making sure that sports is not kind of you ignore that or basically overall development of the kids. And managing the house and managing a full-time work. So I think that's really something that you have to be conscious of all the time. But I think the most important thing is realizing that you're not, a superwoman. And at some points in time, like we were just talking, that if it's not important, if it doesn't need you, either outsource it or delegate it. I think that's really...
I believe in that.
Yeah.
If it's not adding value to what you are doing, what your core is, then might as well give it to somebody else to do. So delegate.
Yeah. So what, like my mom used to say that your kids will never get the maa ke haath ke khane ka swad or that whole feeling. I said, doesn't matter. I'll give them 5 other things. It's okay. You can take care of that. But you have to kind of realize that there's only so much that you can do in a day, and it's okay if the house is like not extremely perfectly done and whatever one of those days. And I think we just push ourselves too much.
We're constantly feeling guilty about something or the other. Not so. We're not supposed to.
We are not. And then it's okay, right? I mean, let other people in our lives pick up those responsibilities where we kind of leave off. I think, and it's very important for the kids to become self-reliant and say that it's okay, mama's not around. I have to do this on my own.
So you are a woman entrepreneur. And now with the work that you do, you work with a lot of women also, whether it's your diversity initiatives or
my whole team is almost, and we have only one boy. We have diversity for that. But they are mostly returning to career women. A lot of them have taken breaks from up to 3 months to about 7 years now. So people have come back and I'm very, my heart is always there. So if you give me a choice between 2 people, I will always
opt for a woman.
Yes.
But having said that, with corporates also, you work a lot in this particular field. Having said that, there's a lot of noise also now. There's a lot of talk about diversity. But what do you think is really required to pull more women back into the workforce, and more importantly, to see more women in leadership positions?
See, I think the most critical thing is the mindset of the women themselves, of men, and of leaders. These 3 are going to be really the drivers to get more women into the workforce. Women themselves, because we stop ourselves and we think I'm not capable of doing it. Maybe an aspirational deficit or whatever. And we question ourselves on every step. Even if you're not like 100% ready, it's okay to ask for the next level, or it's okay to go beyond and just see that, okay, what's the worst that could happen? I will not reach 100%, but I'll reach at least 80%.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we are not even willing to give ourselves that kind of a chance. The other thing is women helping women. So it is our women leaders who have to pull up and make sure that there is mentoring or there is some way a role modeling kind of thing which makes that journey a little easier. The men are important because that's where the support, that's where they will feel the difference to that a workplace is more inclusive because we are in an equitable workspace. I'm not saying equal, I'm not saying men and women are equal at all, but it has to be equitable so that each one kind of performs to their best. That, and then of course the leaders, because this agenda will have to be driven by the leaders. They will have to see value in getting more women into their workforce, and there is enough data to prove that once women come in, there is a good impact at the top line, bottom line, all of that also gets impacted. So it's not only good to do, there is proof that it is.
Absolutely.
It is good.
Yes, it is good.
Yeah.
What kind of a boss is Anjali?
Oh my God. That you have to ask me.
Yeah.
I think, in fact, we were having this discussion yesterday only with the team because appraisals, etc., were around the corner. But I think I do give people a long rope, and my only, like the whole thing I was telling you, that you have to get more rights than wrongs.
Yes.
And see, we're a small team, so it's very easy to experiment, try, as long as they take the initiative to say that this is something more that I want to do. Why can't we do this? There will hardly be a time when I will say no, let's not try it. Let's try and see. So if you try 10 things, 2 will work.
Right.
So, that's really, I think, the way there's a lot of flexibility in the team, because most of us are moms. So you kind of understand that, there's no, things like going to PTM and doing school and,
it's a part of
that's
life.
part of life. Bachcha is not well and I can't come to work, I have to take the doctor. All of that, I think, is part of who we are, and we all give each other that space.
One last question. Okay, this always pops up. We have this magic lamp at She Means Business.
Wow.
Right? And if this genie could grant you one wish, there was this invisible genie. Let's just pretend there's an invisible genie. Yeah. And if he could grant you one wish for who you are, or your ambitions for the future, or your vision for the future, what is that one thing you would wish for?
Okay, I think it would be financial independence and self-worth for women. That's really, really core to all that we are doing.
Yeah.
And I think because that financial independence really gives women a voice.
Yes.
And finding that voice and finding that inner voice is what will really help us in personal, professional, all kinds of domains.
Thank you so much, Anjali. I've been following your work for a very long time now, and I'm very impressed with what you do. And it's been a pleasure to have you on She Means Business. Thank you so much for finding the time.
Thank you so much, Deepika. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much. And to all my viewers, stay tuned, stay happy, and stay focused. Till next time.